Welcome, fight fans, to episode 14 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. Got a great episode this week. Going to start off by introducing our two guests, lucky enough to have on the show. First, we've got MMA legend, former Bellator, former UFC fighter. He was in Ultimate Fighter 2, Marcus, the Irish Hand Grenade Davis. He's going to be coming out of his retirement for one more bout, so keep your eyes peeled for that announcement. Should be dropping soon. We also have Canadian bantamweight fighting out of TriStar Gym in Quebec, Xavier, the Breadman, Alaoui. He's fighting Friday morning, 10:30 Eastern, in United Arab Emirates at the UAE Warriors 13. He formerly fought Hooks In alumni Josh Hill at TKO 36 and lost via split decision. He's a great bantamweight, so I hope you tune in for that one. Of course, we're going to be kicking off today's show with hot headline news, talking about what's coming next for Woodley, Cerrone, and Chimaev. We're also going to be previewing Fight Island, which has cards for the upcoming 5 weeks. Going to be touching on why there is not as much hype for the light heavyweight title coming up this weekend at UFC 253, breaking down some of those fights, which will be a nice transition into our easy lines betting segment. We got our first pay-per-view in a while to break down. So I hope you guys get your Bet365 accounts ready, get those deposits in, and we'll be giving you some expert tips. So let's start things off, guys. Let's break down what's coming next for our boys Woodley, Cerrone, and Chimaev.
Woodley should retire. Cerrone probably should have one more fun fight, and then probably call it a day. Chimaev, I think they're going to stick with Damian Maia and go with that plan. I know he was kind of calling out Stephen Thompson, but I think that was more of a joke than anything. Be interesting to see him in there with somebody that's, top 10. Damian Maia is kind of fringe top 10 still. Then if he dominates that, get him in with the top 5 guy.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because as a viewer, as a fan, we got our own opinions. It's tough sometimes. So for Woodley, I don't know. Again, it's kind of like the Lawler situation a few weeks ago. He seems a little bit checked out in the cage. I'm not sure what's going on. It's more of a mental game than physical. He still looks in great shape. I'm sure he can probably still hit pretty hard. He's not checked in. I don't know what's going on with him. Dana White saying he should be done. I don't know, because Woodley still thinks he should be fighting. He says I'm not done. I'm going to keep fighting. Could Woodley beat anyone outside the top 15? He 100% could. But that's a weird statement to say when Woodley, the only guys he's fought is top 5 guys, and he was a title holder, and his last 3 losses have not been close, and they're all dominant rounds for the 3 top guys right now. So it's hard to compare that. I still think he has something to give, but there has to be some kind of mental check and a mental focus for him moving forward. For Cerrone, personally, he's my favorite fighter of all time. He did lose the fight last weekend if it wasn't for an eye poke, and that was against Nico Price, who isn't a top 15 guy. I did think Nico Price fought the best fight he's fought ever, the most consistent fight that he's fought. It wasn't any going for one punch knockouts or one kick knockouts. I thought he actually looked really good. For Cerrone, if Dana White's saying we got to have that talk with him about retirement, there's a reason for that. If that's the case, I know Court McGee is scheduled to fight Carlos Condit at the UFC 254 Khabib and Gaethje card. No matter what happens with Condit there, I would love to see Condit fight Cerrone at 170, and it could be a kind of a farewell fight to both. It's a stand-up fight. It's a fans fight, tremendous fight to watch. It could be a checkout point for both of them. One legend fighting another. And as for Chimaev, what can you say about the guy? 3 wins in the shortest amount of time ever. He has got all the hype behind him, but he backs it up. Knocked out Meerschaert in 17 seconds. Meerschaert was kind of escaping away. circling around and just a straight right finished him. Chimaev looks great. It looks like Maia is going to be next. Chimaev also said the top 10, any top 10 guy he's called out, they've all declined him. So it looks like it is going to be Maia next. I think he beats Maia. And again, I still think he should fight a guy like Covington or maybe Thompson after. So we'll see what happens next. Z?
You know what else would be a fun fight for Cerrone would be a welcome back fight for Nick Diaz.
Yeah. No,
Diaz doesn't bring a crazy amount of power. Go ahead, Z. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. To throw in there at the end for Cerrone was Nick Diaz would be a good one, but to add on to Chimaev there as well. I heard they were talking about, or he was calling out Stephen Thompson, which I think is a little craziness to start off with. I think Damian Maia is a natural next choice. The UFC loves giving Damian Maia these ridiculous wrestlers, so they seem to always like that matchup. So yeah, no, I mean it's going to be a good test. I thought another interesting thing was that Mearshart, he was saying before the fight, it's disrespectful that they're already trying to book him and blah blah blah. Well, guess what? UFC was right. They weren't disrespecting you. They were just correct. Like you got schlobber knocked in 17 seconds, bud. So I don't like when guys are saying stuff like that. Like, they're disrespecting me. Like, talk after the fight. When you go knock out him or you go put up a good fight, whatever, then you start talking like that. Oh, they're disrespecting me. Well, the performance wasn't there. So, I mean, they knew he was going to run through him. And I think his upcoming fights are going to be really exciting in terms of what they have next for him. The way he's calling people out almost kind of reminds me of McGregor a little bit, and when he was coming up first, and he was just calling out everyone wanting to fight all the time. This guy's fought 3 times in the last 2 months. That's champions only fight twice a year. This guy's already fought 3 times in 8 weeks or something. So it's really exciting to see. And exactly. Just interested to see what the next matchup are for him.
And 2 quick points. So I love listening to Chael. He had 2 takes on it. So Maia wanted to call out Diego Sanchez and say that's going to be my retirement fight. He was saying how it's absolutely ridiculous and disrespectful to be calling out your fight. What you're supposed to do is take whoever's next, and then you hang up the gloves after. You don't get to tell the UFC, well, this is who I want to fight, and handpick your opponent and just go out on some magic carpet ride into your retirement career. The other thing is with Chimaev, he's talking about, who he's going to be fighting next and who he's supposed to be kind of matching up with, and talking about, being a baddest motherfucker thing and what kind of draw that they bring. He was naming 3 guys who have immediately became superstars. Conor McGregor, who after one fight has been a main event fighter every card since. So he's number 1. Brock Lesnar came from WWF or WWE, came out of that one fight. He lost his first fight to Frank Mir, and it took him a couple fights, but he was also that main draw. Chimaev, he was saying is like the next big draw thing. So he has those 3 fights in the 65 days or whatever it may be. It might take him a little longer, but this guy is compared to McGregor, like you said, Z, and he's got a ton of stuff behind him and he's backed it up. So he could be a main draw for years to come based on this guy's skill.
Yeah. I agree with all your guys' kind of forecast predictions. I'm just going to throw out some alternative options. Woodley, I see this in a lot of sports. You see these guys, older, more veteran players, and what they truly need is a change of scenery. And I don't know if that's changing banners. He goes to Bellator, he goes somewhere else. Maybe he changes weight classes. He needs a change of some sort. I think that might light a new fire, give him a little more, motivation, incentive to perform. And that could be what he needs. You look at other sports and guys change teams they've been with for 10 years and they somehow have a renaissance season. They have a comeback season. That could potentially work for him.
Could be even something like the UFC giving him somebody like Chimaev and being like, we're going to use you as a stepping stone to light that fire under him and be like, fuck you guys. I'm not a stepping stone.
Exactly. Maybe, something to give him a chip on his shoulder, something to just motivate him, I guess, is my kind of point there. So that's kind of that.
Good
I
point.
I don't know.
agree. I agree. He could go
Yeah.
over to Bellator, and why couldn't he almost immediately maybe fight somebody, but then fight Douglas Lima for the championship or something like that? He needs a different change of scenery. I agree.
Make a name for himself somewhere else. Maybe he's just over the whole UFC thing, and he's fought the who's who, right? He's been beaten.
Now go get a big
he
paycheck in Bellator or something like that.
lost to Luster. Yeah, maybe he goes, I don't know, PFL for who knows. So anyways, that's just a guess there. Cerrone, I think you're right. One more fight for him. I'm kind of looking up and down the ranks. I don't really see many names that make a good matchup other than maybe Paul Felder. Maybe they match them up. Paul's hinting at retirement. He said he was going to, says he wants to come back, waiting for the right fight.
Yep.
That would be a crazy one. For
Two of my
Cerrone.
favorite guys. I would love to see that fight.
It'd be a fans fight. It would sell. You can market the shit out of that. Hey, give that one. That's my little prediction there. And then Chimaev, I don't know, man. He's so good, but he hasn't fought anyone worth, a top 15 mention. So give him someone. Maya, yeah, he's up there at 6, sure. I want to see something a little more exciting. I love Vicente Luque. I think that's an amazing fight. He's a killer on his knee or on his feet. He's ranked 10th there in the division. Maya's
That's
at
a good
6.
fight, Kron.
I'd like to see that fight too. I still think Chimaev kills him though for some reason. This
Like-
guy is nuts, but it is a good
Who
fight.
does he beat though?
I don't
Like
know.
that's the thing. I want to see I want him see him prove himself and just like silence all the haters. I'm not saying I'm hating on him or
No,
doubting him.
it's a great fight.
I just want him to kind of prove his worth and his whole, cockiness. I just want to see that. And then, you know what? Before the show, we were talking about RDA. He's fought the who's who. He's sitting there at the 9th ranked spot. Maybe that's a potential. I don't know.
Yeah,
That'd be an exciting fight.
If he beats Makachev, why couldn't he fight Chimaev next? That'd be pretty
Right.
good.
So I think
Sure.
there's some really cool, compelling matchups to be had there. And this won't be the first or last time we talk about Chimaev. So, it's going to be exciting to follow. And I think that's just some nice new blood in the UFC system and could gain some new fans and grow the sport more. So I'm all for it either way.
I do really like that Luque matchup. Krons, I didn't even think Luque. And he's tough. He's not somebody you're just going to get out of there with one shot. And
Right.
if you're grinding on him, he's not a guy that's going to give up.
Yep. Big body.
That'd be
Not
a good
easily
fight.
taken down.
Yeah.
It could be stylistically a pretty entertaining one. And
Book
I don't
it.
think the odds are too far swaying. Chimaev's going to be the favorite. We all know this, but it won't be this minus 400 or anything like that, right? So
Send in the resume to Joe Silva, Krons.
Yeah.
Fucking
Well,
money fights.
I'll try that, and then Z-Ball can be the handicapper for our new sports book.
Well, that's kind of why the UFC won't do that, because Luque doesn't have a big enough name, and that's a tough fight for Chimaev, right? So that's why they actually wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, that is a great matchup. They wouldn't do that yet because they're risking Chimaev's name against a good guy that doesn't have a good name. Whereas Maya has a really good name, and he's probably more beatable for Chimaev. So,
but what does that remind you of? O'Malley Vera?
Oh,
Vera?
yeah.
Who knew who Vera was, right? No one knew.
O'Malley, I don't know. O'Malley was a lot of hype. Chimaev is a lot, but I actually do believe in Chimaev's skills more than I do believe in O'Malley's. O'Malley's like,
That's fair.
O'Malley's coming back better than ever. He's gonna get that ankle figured out, and he's gonna be champ. But
I think
he still claims
Chimaev.
he hasn't lost.
I think Chimaev could beat Usman. I think he's that good. I don't mean right now. Like in the next year, I think he could. Guy's insane.
Potential. He has the upside.
Potential.
I agree.
You put him up against a lot of the top welterweights in the top 10. He does beat them. Like, Neil Magny, he crushes. Like, there's just a couple of guys that he's going to be fine against. But
what about him and Edwards? Just fucking knock Leon Edwards out of this world. Fuck him. I hate Edwards.
Edwards needs to fight someone, and he can't be. He thinks he's all this and should be getting the title shot, I think, but he needs to beat someone again first. He can't.
Edwards needs to grow a personality, is what he needs to do.
Yeah,
that guy's the most boring person on the planet.
They might as well.
Why he doesn't get fights?
They might as well book him and Magny, the two guys that don't push the needle.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or maybe Chimaev should fight both. Chimaev fights
The
both
same
at the
night.
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Headline the
time, Zemo.
prelims and the main card.
No, I literally mean at the same time. Oh, fuck. Well, that's a great topic. Let's slide into, we're headed into Fight Island. Got some great cards coming up. I don't want to jump too far ahead and analyze, the betting or anything like that. But yeah, I just want to hear from your guys' perspective how you think this might change coming from Apex back to UAE. Obviously, there's the time change, right, to think about. There's always, what's the air conditioning going to be like, those type of things, COVID.
Going back to the bigger cage.
Yep, bigger cage. Does it, give an advantage to the guys fighting on that side of the world who are training there? All these different variables in there. So, yeah, let's dissect that a little bit.
Yeah, the Contender Series got put on hold, right? Because they were talking about this for a while, about having this another, venture off to Yaz Island. So 5 weeks, 5 cards. We've been on the last bunch of weeks. We haven't really had a week off because there's been a card every weekend. The UFC continues to provide fights. Contender Series, like I said, is put off hold until November. So we got a few of our Canadians fighting 3 weeks in a row in November. Looking forward to that, but can't look past these next 5 weeks. And it starts this weekend with the greatest middleweight fight, I think, of all time, at least top 2 or 3. So excited for that. Last weekend's card, I think the main card, there's a couple fights on there I was personally a little more excited for than this weekend's, but there's still some great matchups we can talk about, including the co-main event, the light heavyweight vacant championship that seems to not be getting a lot of buzz. So what do you guys think about, this card this weekend and back over in Fight Island?
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons for that. You're touching on the light heavyweight there. One, neither of them are particularly, dynamic talkers. Dominic Reyes doesn't really sound very intelligent when he talks. Jan can barely speak English. So you got that aspect. The UFC, I don't think, sees a ton of marketability in either one of them. And then I think everybody really knows this is kind of a placeholder until John figures out what he's doing and comes back to reclaim his throne. He maybe goes up to heavyweight, does a few fights, but I think he'll be back down to light heavyweight at some point, retake that championship. So I don't think the UFC is investing too much into either of these guys right now.
Let me throw something out there then. What if Reyes, wins this weekend, which I don't know, it'd be a good fight. He should win, I think, but you never know. And then defends it 3 or 4 times and Jones comes back down. Does he really want to take that fight with Reyes? I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe. He had a contentious decision the first time. It was a close fight. People are saying Reyes won it. That's got to bother John a little bit. And if he comes down and shows like Reyes has been this dominant guy, he's been knocking off contender after contender, and I come back down and I just kick him to the side, it's clear that I'm still the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a little surprised that there isn't more buzz around this fight, because Reyes did so well against John Jones, and the casual fan is usually watching the John Jones fights, and as you said, a lot of the talk the next day was how Reyes potentially won that fight and how surprised everyone was how well he did. So I'm a little, even in like the hardcore MMA community itself, there's not a whole lot of talk about this fight, but I think it's pretty, it's a good matchup, certainly. I think Reyes is extremely talented, but as you said, Jan Blachowicz, isn't very, he's barely even, he's certainly not known by the casual fan, right? Certainly not. So, it's still going to be a good fight, but I'm actually surprised by how little buzz there is around. Even I didn't even know at first it was a belt fight, and then I learned it was a belt fight a couple of weeks ago. So, so I mean, like, it's an interesting matchup, but not enough buzz behind it for sure. If John Jones were to come back down after a few defenses by Reyes, I do think that would be kind of the ultimate kind of light heavyweight championship at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with your guys' analysis there. I'll just add something, kind of my theory. I'm looking through the division. It's got to be one of the most shallow divisions in UFC, right? We were just talking through welterweights. So many names, household names, even, you know, the casual fans know. You look through the light heavyweight and it's not as deep. And that could be one of the reasons why not many people are talking about it. There's not as much controversy or like matchmaking potentials, right? And then you look through the guys' names and they're just not marketable guys. They're a lot, you know, non-American fighters, and they might not all speak English, and that just are the facts. And I'm sure that's playing into it. So
honestly, Johnny Walker is like the only one in the top 10 right now that's marketable.
exactly.
Except
he's
for
10th.
Rumble Johnson, who's coming back. That's a guy you could throw in right
He
away to fight.
True.
100%.
And they're missing guys like that.
Guys like that.
They're missing those.
Perfect time to come back.
Movers, man.
Perfect time to come back.
Yeah.
It's a business, right? They got to sell tickets. They got to sell pay-per-view. So I don't know. That's my theory, is it's just not as deep and not as revenue generating.
Honestly, there's no better time for Rumble to win the belt. Every single person in the top 5 likes to fight and likes to walk forward. If you walk forward on Rumble, that ain't going to go well for you.
No,
Like,
Cormier.
Everybody else backed away and wrestled him. None of these guys are going to do that to him.
Yeah, Cormier is a bad matchup for him, but he ain't there no more. So I agree.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Saw some training videos. He looked fantastic, Rumble. So he got to pass all the USADA stuff 6 months later. So we're looking at early 2021. You could easily right away throw him in if Dominic beats Blachowicz. You could actually put him in right away. He may have to fight once, but you could throw him right away because people are going to buy in 100% on that.
Maybe you give him Ratchet, who just beat Smith Ray, and maybe that's a potential.
Yeah, I think the UFC will look to cash right in on a big name, though. I think you might be right. Throw him in right into the title fight, because then
he's already been there, right? Like everyone knows him. It's not like he's Prochaska and he's overseas and the guy's unreal and comes and gets one big win. Everyone knows him. He's earned it. He's only lost to Cormier, and Cormier's not there anymore. So
yeah, and you don't risk him potentially coming back and not having the best fight and losing to one of the lower ranked guys, and then you miss out on that big cash opportunity for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, if they can make Michael Chandler a Bellator staple as the batting box fighter to the best fighter maybe of all time, could be even Gaethje. If you make him the batting box fighter, the number one contender essentially, you can definitely do that with Rumble. He's already been in the promotion, so
yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, other events other than this weekend, guys, I know we got the 5-year fight night. Which ones might kind of stand out to you? What ones are you most excited for? I'll quickly start the Reyes fight. That one's kind of on my list. He hasn't fought in a little while, and I'm interested to see how he comes back, hopefully dominates. Ortega Young. Again, Ortega hasn't been in the octagon in a while. Used to be one of the most exciting fighters. That'll be kind of a cool. Which ones stand out for you guys?
I personally just like how they sandwiched it together. So the first week is the best fight, and the last week is the best fight. So it's like you're tuning in for the first, and you're going to want to tune in to get to the last.
Hooks you in.
Yeah, hooked in.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the Ortega and Korean Zombie one is the one that I'm kind of, I think, it's kind of going under the radar a little bit, right? Like compared to, because it has such other great fights on the island here. But that one, I think that one's very interesting. And the Korean Zombie, I mean, he doesn't fight often, unfortunately, but when he does, it's always great performances and great fights. So that's kind of one I'm looking forward to.
I'm really looking forward to Zabit and Yair if that actually ends up happening on the Khabib card.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for that fight for 2.5 years since they both came onto the scene. That fight's got fireworks, crazy spin kicks, and everything written all over it. And also Whitaker coming back to fight Cannonier. Be really interesting because Cannonier's looked really good lately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got some Canadians on the cards too. Excited for that. One, Hakeem Dawodu this weekend. He can get 5 wins in a row. He's the first fight on the main card. Excited for that, just to see. We've been on a slide in September. some of our Hooks In alum and some that we haven't talked. I think we're 0-5 or 0-6 in September. So not a good month. So we can end it off good if Dawadu can get a nice win this weekend.
Totally.
Nice.
So we got about 8 minutes left, guys. Let's head into our easy lines. I know Z's done, it's solid week's worth of research, probably more. I know he's the encyclopedia for over-under betting. So I've got my notepad ready here, Z-Ball. Start us off so we can make some moolah this Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, the main events, middleweight championship, of course, champion Adesanya taking on the challenger in Costa, Paulo Costa. Israel's a decent-sized favorite coming in at -175. Costa's underdog at +150. Israel's coming off a decision win over Yoel Romero back in March earlier this year. Pretty uneventful fight that kind of found Yoel just kind of sitting there in the middle of the octagon with Israel kind of circling around him, just kind of picking him apart with jabs and kind of body and low kicks. Costa, on the other hand, is coming off a decision win over Yoel Romero as well back in summer 2019, which was a totally different fight. Costa was walking down Romero the entire fight like he always does to his opponents. Only Yoel Romero was actually able to take the shots and also fire back. It was actually a very close, exciting fight, back and forth, which, some did say, Romero won himself as well. I think we're going to see a very exciting fight in this matchup as well. Costa is not going to hang back and wait for Israel to make the first move. He's going to go after him hard, which is kind of actually what Israel wants. He's a counter striker, loves it when guys come forward on him. Kind of like the Robert Whittaker knockout, right? When we blitzed in on him. In my opinion, this is actually an extremely hard fight to call. Costa has been off more than a year, so it's he's going to be revving to go and do some damage. So certainly Costa's going to walk into some of Izzy's strikes. How's Izzy going to deal with Costa's pressure? It's going to be something like he's never had to deal with before, I believe. My head wants to take Adesanya, but my gut's been telling me the last few weeks that Costa's going to win. So that's who I'm going to take. I'm going to take the underdog here, Costa +150. I think it should be a bit more of a pick'em fight, actually. I was already leaning on Costa a little, so this seems like great value to me, actually. As well, I'm going with the under in this fight, so kind of a bit different than what I've usually done in most other of my main event fights. The style matchup here with these two, I believe, it's going to be a firefight pretty quickly. I don't foresee a first-round finish, though. Costa has a great chin. Israel's more precision than power. Costa actually isn't really a power puncher himself either, which is kind of a misconception with him. He really actually wears guys down with this ridiculous volume. He doesn't put a ton of power behind him. He just throws nonstop. So if Costa wins, I think it's going to be a late second round or maybe third round stoppage. Costa by finish +240 looks like good value to me. Under 2.5 is halfway through the third round, obviously, +100. Also under 3.5 -150 looks like a bit of a lock to me. But what are you guys thinking?
I gotta disagree with you on the pick there. I think Israel's gonna win, and the main reason for that is we got the bigger cage. I think if it was in Apex, be a different story. Costa would be able to corner him a little bit easier. Israel having that big cage though, and his footwork, he's not gonna get shell shocked like guys like Uriah Hall did. Uriah Hall was doing really good. Costa started walking him down, went to the body. Hall got kind of shell shocked and stopped his footwork. He stopped his lateral movement. Izzy's not going to stop that. He's got too much experience in kickboxing fights to get shell shocked and shell up and just stand against the cage. So I think he's gonna grind it out for a couple rounds. You might see him kind of rope a dope for the first round, and then I think he'll start picking them apart. But I agree with your under 2.5 there. I think Izzy's going to finish him at the start of the third.
Yeah, just can't wait to see the fight. I'm not giving any suggestions here, but looking forward to it.
I'm not going to watch the fight. I'm actually just going to rip my internet out and hope that Z-Balls win. So going with you, Z-Balls.
Yeah, well, certainly, obviously, Israel is a more technical striker, right? He's a better striker for sure at the end of the day. And, if Israel wins, I will not be surprised. But I don't know. I'm just going with my gut here a little bit. And certainly it's it's an MMA fight at the end of the day, so anything can happen. We'll see how
Title fight too, right? Anyone can win in a title fight, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm trying to run through a whole lot of scenarios in my mind that that's going to happen. I see everything possible that could happen. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. So, but in the interest of time, I'll jump right into it. So next up here we have light heavyweight championship belt fight, kind of flying under the radar. Dominic Reyes taking on Jan Blachowicz. Reyes fairly heavy favorite, -275. Jan's a +225. Reyes coming off a decision loss to John Jones earlier this year, controversial decision. Many people saying Reyes won 3 rounds. Reyes landed a lot of good strikes on Jones, looked pretty good against them. Jan's coming off a 3-fight win streak over Rockhold, Jacare Souza, Corey Anderson. Out of his last 8 UFC fights, he's only lost 1, and that's to Diego Santos. I think Reyes will use his length and stay away from Jan's power hand, kind of opposite to what he did to John Jones, which is, try and get inside of him. He's going to try and picking Jan from a distance. I would look to kind of avoid his wrestling and his takedowns as well, right? Reyes has excellent takedown defense for this weight class. I don't see Jan being able to take him down easily, although if he does get him on the inside and does some damage, Reyes has to worry about his hands, certainly. But I don't see that happening, though. Reyes has excellent athletic ability, high fight IQ, good boxing accuracy. So I am taking him in this fight. I'm not loving the price on him, though. I don't believe Reyes is this big of a favorite, and the odds makers should be kind of giving Jan more of a chance. Or maybe, the public is just betting heavy on Reyes due to his performance against John Jones. For this, I'm personally liking the over in this. Over 2.5 -120. The only time anyone's ever finished Jan was Diego Santos, and that was in the 3rd round. I don't see Reyes getting caught either that early, only if he underestimates Jan. So Dominic Reyes +275 looks juicy to me. But what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, it's a great call. I think he's already beat somebody who's just a better version of Blachowicz and Volkan Ozdemir. So I don't think it's going to be any different of a game plan than he did against Ozdemir, except he's going to have a little bit easier time.
I absolutely love over 2.5 rounds. I'm not going to pick a winner here, just so I can throw it in quick so you can finish it off. Z. I just have 2 here. So I'm a big Shane Young fan. Unfortunately, I think he loses this weekend. A newcomer to the UFC, Ludovic Klein. He's won 7 in a row. This guy's, extremely underrated. They brought him in for a reason. Shane Young is just, a really good fighter, and he pushes the pace. But I think the versatility of Klein's going to overwhelm him at +100. I like that. And my just underdog pick to throw in, Kai Kara France is a huge favorite. He's a 3rd fight, the one before Blachowicz and Reyes. Brandon Royval is, +200 for this. I really like him to upset Kai Kara France in the flyweight division. Those are my 2 picks.
I'll quickly jump in there. Caitlin Vieira against Sarah Eubanks, I think is a lock at -175. Parlay that with the over-unders I said before. Also, her by decision +110 looks good to me. Other than that, easy lines out.
Okay, guys, enjoy the pay-per-view this weekend. We'll catch you next week on episode 15. And best of luck on those parlays. Let's go.
Woo. Enjoy the fights.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have UFC legend. He had a ton of fights in his career, 33. He's got 22 wins, 11 losses. He was 9-5 in the UFC. Marcus the Irish Hand Grenade Davis. How's it going today?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, thanks. So you were born in Holton, but you basically grew up in Bangor, Maine. That's correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so...
Yep, that's right. Yeah, my family... So my father's family, they immigrated over from Wales and Scotland. And then my mother's family, the last place they were was Ireland, but they originally were from Scotland also. Well, an island off of Scotland that spoke Gaelic. And then they ended up starting the potato farming up in Holton, Maine. And then in the late 70s, my mother moved with my brother and I to the Bangor area.
Okay, and there's a couple famous people from Bangor, right?
That's right. So everybody knows Stephen King, right? The horror writer, and the house that I ended up building before I moved to North Carolina was not far. It was right down the road from his place, and that's the home of Tim Sylvia. I was Tim Sylvia, the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC. I was his first coach before he joined Team Militich. There's a few other, but I believe like Judd Nelson from the Breakfast Club. I think he was from Maine also, but
awesome.
that's about it though.
Yeah.
And lobsters.
Yeah, for sure. So just talk about growing up in Maine. What were some hobbies you had, and what did you do for fun?
So typical Maine stuff. I was big into fishing as a kid growing up. Hunting also. I was more into small game. I did a lot of small game hunting. I was a real nerdy kid outside of the fighting. I guess that's not very nerdy, but
Yeah.
I was really into herpetology, which all my friends say stupid things like the study of herpes and whatever, but which is the study of reptiles. At high school, I had gone into college for pre-veterinary medicine, and I was going to specialize in reptiles and amphibians, after being in school for a year, I ended up signing a professional boxing contract, and I was actually I was involved in a lot of stuff, but and then I ended up moving down to Boston, Massachusetts, and that's where I started my professional boxing career.
Okay, so getting into boxing, like what piqued your interest there then?
So my family on both sides boxed, but my grandfather on my mother's side, he was a professional boxer, and he retired undefeated. He never lost a fight. He won the Golden Gloves in the Navy. He was in the Korean War. Real tough guy, very respected in the town that I grew up in. Everybody just would talk about, how great of a fighter he was. And then growing up, he didn't talk a whole lot. He's a very quiet, your typical, tough guy, real quiet. But I would sit on the floor in the living room, and I would watch all the fights, from the late 70s and the early 80s with him, and just always remembered, those moments and those things that I had. It was like the only kind of interaction I had with him as a kid.
Yeah.
And then growing up and hearing all that stuff, it just became part of me. It became what I wanted to do too, and
inspired you.
Yeah, it inspired me, and I kind of had I was real durable, both physically and mentally as a kid. I grew up really poor and in a really crappy way. Your typical fighter story. A mother with two sons, no father figure, I was in trouble all the time for getting in street fights and doing a lot of petty, stupid stuff. And then when I was 15, I got locked up in a juvenile detention facility. And after that, I stopped getting in trouble when I learned that I liked my freedom too much, and so I started to be a good little boy.
Sometimes what happens kind of knocks some sense into you. We've all gotten into some kind of trouble, and it wakes you up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of the par for the norm for a lot of your fighters. You always hear that kind of story. It's not as common now as it was back in the day, but that broken home story of, no father figure and, without a man in the house keeping you straight, and the fear of a father sometimes can make you make better decisions. But yes, so I
Yeah.
didn't have that. So I was out, and I had a real bad problem with male authority, which
Okay.
I didn't with female authority. So when all my female teachers loved me, thought I was a great kid because I listened to them, and I fought with all my male teachers because I just, when they would tell me to do something, I would say, make me. I just did not do well with male authority. So, uh, you know, I had to get broken of that as I got older. When I got to be in my late, like I said, teens, I started to kind of come out of that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just when I don't know, we could talk about now too, but when you were fighting consistently, what gym did you train at? And if you still, you're still doing that, what gym are you at? Is it the same one or a different one?
Yeah, so before my UFC, I trained at Sitio Tong, and on this fight that, I agreed to come back and take one more fight. That's it. All right. All right. So during my UFC career, I trained under Mark Telegrati, which is Sitio Tong, and coming back for this one last fight, Mark Telegrati will be working my corner, and I will be representing Sitio Tong.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up next. So you were going to come back for the one fight, and it got, I think, postponed due to COVID. Do you have any idea on the timeline of the next show that you can do that fight on?
No, not yet. They haven't. The promoter has when they're going to try to reschedule it. I guess right now you just kind of can't because, without the government or whoever allowing the promoter to give the promoter an actual date that they could hold the fight. You know how this is. Right now, this stuff is very political here in the U.S. They're kind of keeping everything kind of shut down and pretty tight up there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we hope that they can get that figured out because we would want to see that fight. What made you want to come back for the one fight?
Well, the promoter had been basically messaging me and talking to me for since I retired. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And constantly asking me to come back, asking me to fight. And I kept saying no. And I had a lot of injuries, I had a lot of issues when I left the sport. And 6 years later, everything is healed. I had surgery on my eyes fixed. I mean, I had a lot of problems, but they're all healed. And so I've been training fighters this whole time. So I've been training. I trained Tim Boach for his UFC career and the end of his UFC career. I'm training some fighters now that one that you're going to hear about. Adley Edwards, you'll see him in the UFC very soon. And when I say very soon, I mean within the next 3 to 4 months. We're already in a kind of a deal here with this. So,
Okay.
But you'll see him. And I've been training with whether it's the grappling and kickboxing and MMA sparring and everything. And, the feedback I get from everybody all the time was, man, imagine if you were still fighting, how much better I am now. And after I retired from MMA, I competed in some grappling stuff, but it was mostly like super fights. And I ended up competing against a couple of world champions in grappling, and I beat them. So in grappling, without throwing a punch.
Yep.
So my grappling has gotten a lot better. And so I just, was like, you know what? I left the sport not on my terms. I kind of left them on my body just telling me that it was time to go.
Yep.
And I said, I'd rather have one last fight and leave on my own and just walk out knowing that I left when I was ready to leave, not when I, forced out on, health reasons. So
Yeah, exactly. No, I like that. Great reasoning. What was the fight you were most proud of in your career, and why?
Yeah, well, that would be the fight with Chris Lytle in Dublin, Ireland, and that was because that was my dream, was to fight in Dublin, Ireland, and to get a win over somebody like Chris Lytle, and it was a very tough fight. It became fight of the night too, to make weight, and I didn't have to cut any weight. I was sick; it was coming out of every hole in my body, so it was. All right.
Yeah, just curious on what you
Okay.
think. There's an issue, these days in judging and in reffing and in the scoring system. We talk about that a lot on our podcast. So just curious on what changes you would make.
Right, I would have more defined stuff with as far as the scoring system goes. I would have it, some absolutes defined there, and only going to certain other criteria if those other things weren't met. So, like, you would look at like, power striking, effective striking, that kind of stuff, but you wouldn't look at ring control or cage control or anything like that, unless those criteria weren't met, right?
Okay.
If there was like a draw of some sort or whatever. But and then obviously I would look at submission attempts, which would be a big thing. If it's one thing just to lay on somebody and try and giving them noogie punches in the side of the head, but if you actually try to finish the fight, there should be more given to that person than the person that just lays on him and chips away on him. So there's some things like that. But I think the biggest thing is with your judging, just as the referees are all former martial artists, like Frank Trigg. You're going to see him all the time in the UFC now, and he was a world champion, and maybe not in the UFC, but he fought for the world title in the UFC, but other organizations. Big John McCarthy was a black belt in jiu-jitsu and multiple martial artists himself. So I think that's what they should do with the judging. The judging should have the criteria of being a judge is that you should have either fought or you should have a mixed martial arts training background.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that. That's well put. What are some hobbies, and do you have a family right now? Do you, what do you do outside of training and outside of work?
Okay, so outside of just, so I work as a biomechanics specialist for one company, and then I work for a large corporate company, Tap Out Fitness, and I teach Greg Jackson's MMA program there. And then I have my own company that's called Brute Force, and Brute stands for Brute Force is an acronym. It stands for Balance, Retention, Utilizing, Tactical Execution, Forcing Opposition, Recover, Coordination, and Exploitation. So it's a big one, but I teach, I mainly work now with law enforcement. I was doing some stuff for the military, but now I'm focused on law enforcement. So I do a lot of SCAT training, which is subject control arrest techniques. And I do close quarters combat stuff, weapon retention, higher level handcuffing techniques and stuff like that. I went through the police academy in Maine, and then here I was a corrections officer here in North Carolina for a while. So then as far as family goes, I have 3 daughters and 1 son. They range from 14 to 14, 20, 26, about to be 27, and 30. So those are my kids, and I'm married. My wife's name is Lara. She's Italian with a mix of, her mother's family is from Sicily and her father's family is from northern Italy. And she grew up starting out in Queens, New York, and then she just ended up in Maine. And then I met her while she was in the Air Force, and she got stationed in Maine. And I was running a nightclub, and that's how I ended up meeting her there. And as far as like hobbies, I really don't do. I mean, I'm real boring. Like I just do a lot of stuff when I can with my family. I do a lot of, I just train all the time, man. I like, if I could, I'd show you, right now it's dark here, but I've got a giant jungle gym. It's like a man's jungle gym out back. It's got like 4 pull-up bars. It's got a heavy bag. It's got a bunch of TRXs. I got weights and kettlebells and all this stuff. So I work out and I train all the time. And then I'm an avid shooter too. So I shoot a lot. I've got a couple of ARs, AR-15s. I got an AR-9. I've got a Heckler Koch 416. I got like 8 pistols. So I'm a big shooter. That's about it, man. That and that family and training, and that's about it, man. Pretty boring.
I wouldn't say that's too boring. I forgot to ask you earlier what kind of small game you hunted, because I hunt and fish as well. Next weekend's actually I get to get away for a few days and hunt as well. I do a lot of duck hunting, so I was just curious what you hunt or what you did.
So when I was in Maine, I always hunted partridge, pheasant, rabbit, and squirrel, which grosses people out. I used to eat squirrel all the time. So squirrels in Maine are not like squirrels in other places. They're pretty big. You get good size, and But anyways, I know it's gross, but I used to eat a lot of squirrel back then. And now here, I just bought a big chunk of land on the coast here in North Carolina. We live just outside of Raleigh, but I bought a really nice 3-acre piece of land that's got wild pig on it.
Okay.
So it's got feral pig, wild pig, and then obviously deer, and it's covered with rabbits. I mean, there are rabbits everywhere there. So that's where I'm going to be retiring. I'm building a off the grid house there with solar panel and rainwater collected and all, and the city also everything connected on there, but we're going to stay off the grid unless needed to go on to the city utilities. But anyway, so that's what I like hunting. And obviously now, Tim Boach, who I said before I used to train, he's a very good friend of mine, and he used to, when I was training him, he's always come down and fill my freezers. So now that he retired, I got to start filling my own freezer with game meat again. So it's time to get busy.
Yeah. Maybe you can get enough, and then you can fill his too. Yeah. He's probably got enough.
Definitely. Yeah, Tim's big. Tim's a 100 times 2 with me, man. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, last segment between rounds. I'm gonna ask you a question. There's gonna be a few answers for you to come up with. So whatever's best suited for you.
Okay.
Favorite food to eat?
Favorite food to eat. Favorite food. I would say my favorite thing, like I love to have, is lamb doner or like lamb kebabs. So lamb with the tzatziki or the garlic tzatziki like sauce on it and stuff. Yep. Oh man, I love that. That's my favorite.
To die for. Favorite sport other than MMA?
That's hard, man. I would guess probably kickboxing or something, because I don't watch any other sports. I'll watch Glory and stuff like that, Muay Thai when I can. But if it's not a combat sport, I mean, if people started beating each other with baseball bats, I'd watch baseball. But other than that, I'm really not interested.
Yeah, maybe fishing or hunting you could count as well.
Yeah.
Would you rather stay, like, go away camping or stay in a hotel?
Oh, camping. Yeah. 100%.
Agreed. What's your favorite getaway spot in the United States?
Favorite in the United States. Me, man, it sounds like I love where I live now here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So whenever we get away, we go to the beaches. So here in North Carolina, there's you have so many. The beaches here are beautiful, and I used to have a place in Florida too. I used to go down to, I had a condo in Orlando, and we used to go there. And never would go back there. Now that I live here in North Carolina, I just would, and that's why I bought that property. It's right off the ocean out there. So, my favorite place to go outside, which technically isn't, is the Bahamas. So I went to Nassau last year, and I loved it. That was just gorgeous. I loved it. So
that's on our to-do list as well. So maybe we'll get there one day. What's your favorite country other than the States?
Oh yeah, Ireland.
Agreed.
Obviously.
A favorite type of music?
Oh God, people would just trash me for this. So, like my favorite performers, like what I listen to now, isn't what I used to listen to when I was a kid. Totally different thing. But like right now, I'm a huge fan of Ben Folds, and I like all the old stuff. Ben Folds 5, Cake, big Cake fan. But that's the kind of stuff that I like now. And I really enjoy people. Like my favorite stuff to listen to are truly talented people. And when I say truly talented, I mean multi-talented. They write the music, they sing the music, they play the instrument. I mean, they do everything.
Yeah.
And I really respect, like, I don't know, this makes me sound like such a sissy, but like artists like Sarah Bareilles, she's got a great voice. She plays the piano. She writes music. I mean, people like that, I really have a lot of admiration for them, because I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. So I think that's real talent.
Yeah, she's not the worst looking either. Who do you have in your top 5 top 5 pound for pound fighters of all time?
Of all time, so you got to take them at that time. You know what I mean? When they were at that. So, in that top 5, I would say, I know now, he gets a lot of flack for sticking around too long, but BJ Penn was one of my favorites. Obviously George St. Pierre, Randy Couture, Fedor, and Khabib is going to be up there too.
If GSP comes back, do you think he has a chance against Khabib?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think he's too long for Khabib. I think that his striking will set him apart, and he always comes well prepared, and he's an intelligent fighter, and it would just be too hard for Khabib to get beyond St. Pierre's leads. He has a great lead kick, great lead jab, just a very, I always call it an educated lead hand. His lead hand can do everything. He Superman punches with it. He throws hooks. He hit Bisping with a hell of a left hook.
Yeah.
So, he just has a great lead left hand. So I think that would be too much for Khabib.
I'd love to see it, but he's got to get past Gaethje first.
Right.
Do you have any sponsors, shout outs, or social media you wanted to say just to end off?
No, I don't. I mean, people can find me at either Irish Hand Grenade on Facebook, or you just look up Marcus Paul Davis. So I'm on Facebook as Marcus Paul Davis, and I'm also on Instagram as Marcus Paul Davis also.
Okay.
So that's it, man.
All right. Well, I hope the rest of your week is a little better than today. We really appreciate you coming on. Big fan of your career, and you're a legend in the sport and a pioneer as well. We hope that fight gets rescheduled and we can watch that soon. And we just really appreciate you having on, coming on the show here. So Marcus, the Irish Hand Grenade Davis, this is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much.
All right, Matt. Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
Be safe, buddy.
You take care. You too. Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have 10-3 Canadian bantamweight. He was born in Kirkland, Quebec, fighting out of Montreal. He's got a big fight coming up. Xavier, the Breadman, Alaoui. How's it going today?
What's up? I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks, man. Appreciate your time. Yeah, so what were your hobbies growing up in Quebec?
Growing up, man, I was playing mostly. I was playing sports. I was doing judo. I grew up hanging out with the boys,
Yeah.
And that's about it. So like every other kid, man, same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. What generated your interest in MMA? Like you said, judo, but usually you start off with something and then you add on another discipline or something.
Yeah.
What generated your interest?
Well, I was, like I said, I was doing judo. I was on the Canadian team, the national team, and as a martial artist, you always kind of feel like you want to test yourself. And I would always see UFC fights on TV and stuff like that, and I would always think like, oh man, like I would just judo flip these guys. Oh man, I can judo these dudes, But then you realize it's a little harder when you try that shit. And yeah, man, that's it. It's mostly from martial arts and the desire to compete. And I wanted to take up boxing as well. And eventually I joined the Grants boxing gym, and they had a cage. And I started boxing and mixing my judo with it and some jiu-jitsu with Stéphane Potvin. I don't know if you know him, the rude boy, Stéphane Potvin. And
I've heard of that name actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually introduced me to the world of MMA, and we started competing on the amateur scene together.
And then we go from there, right, to where you are today.
Exactly.
Just talk about what gym you're at, the coaches you have, who's in your corner, and some of the training partners you have that push you every day.
Yeah, well, I'm at TriStar Gym in Montreal under Faraz Zahabi. And in my corner, I'm going to have Christophe Midou. I don't know if you know who Big Chris is. It's, the the big white guy in George St. Pierre corner all the time.
Yes,
ears like
now I know.
No, that's who's going to be in my corner. He's always in my corner. He's like my older brother,
Yeah.
And I train with the likes of Ayman Zahabi, Louis Sanudakis, Zach Makovsky, James Mancini, all tough dudes, all very, very good, skilled guys, My main training partner for this camp was Ayman. And I'm telling you, man, iron sharpens iron, We've been fucking going at it back and forth nonstop, man. It's worth the hell of some rounds we have, me and him.
Yeah, but that's only going to benefit you come later this month, right? So that's good to hear. You coming up to this point, your quality of competition has grown, right? Like you fought Josh Hill, who's a buddy of mine, Edgar Scrivers. You had a couple big fights, and it keeps getting harder and harder. So how do you think that'll benefit you for this fight and then moving forward too?
Well, I think that's exactly, man. I'm always looking for challenges. The point of MMA is to fight the best guys. It's not to get in the UFC. Guys that want to get in the UFC, they get a harsh surprise when they get there. It's about fighting the best at the best and highest level and the best guys, and doing what you do with them. You know what I mean? Man, I've only lost split decisions, and in my mind, I could have won all these 3 fights, just depending on the judge's vision of them. And I'm ready for the next challenge, man. If that guy in front of me, I think I'm going to fucking kill him, bro. I'm going in there to finish that dude. So I'm not looking past him. I'm not looking for a fight after that. I'm looking at that fight right now. I just want to get it. I want to finish that guy either in the first or second round. If it's got to go 15 minutes, it'll go 15 minutes, but I don't think so. And then after that, we'll see what's up. We'll see who's next.
Yeah, exactly. Good way to put it. How did that fight come about? So it's United Arab Emirates 13, I believe, Warriors 13 in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
I know there's not a lot of stuff going on here in Canada based on the COVID and all that stuff. But how did that fight come about?
Well, I was just actually talking about that with someone. Man, I was a bit unfortunately, in life, I was sitting on my ass for a year. I thought I was going to get a call. I thought somebody was going to call me, give me a fights, UFC or Bellator, with the record I have and the guys that I fought and beat. And man, in life, we should never sit on our ass and wait, So I was reading, I don't know, I was telling that to someone. I was reading David Goggins. You know who that dude is?
Say the name again.
David Goggins. He's just a motivator, he's a Navy SEAL. And the guy's done a lot of stuff, he's ran 100 miles. He's done a lot of stuff in his life, and it got me. It motivated me. So as I was reading his book one time, I finished the chapter. I closed it. I said, you know what? Fuck that. I never had a good management. I never had a management team. So I was always just me and Christophe. We would just find leagues in Russia, places like that, and go fight, in enemy territory. So now after that, I messaged Ruby Sports and Entertainment, Daniel Rubenstein, and man, I got an answer right away from them. They were interested, and I got to say they do a crazy job because they got me a fight not even a week after I signed with them.
Wow.
So I'm very thankful for that. They do a great job, man. Shout out to Daniel Rubenstein from Ruby's Entertainment.
That's really impressive, actually.
Yeah, honestly, man. And they came up with that fight in the UAE, and I was all with it, bro. I don't care about traveling. I just want to scrap, man.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It after sitting around for that long, that's amazing. So you fight, might be a mispronunciation, but Juarez Dia. I think he's 8-2. He has a notable loss against Ali Al-Casey, who just signed with the UFC recently. Seems like he's pretty legit, but nothing you can't handle. What do you think about him? Have you watched any video, any of that stuff?
I don't. I watched a bit of his tape. I don't really bother them because they gotta bother me. They gotta. I'm gonna bring my fight, so they better watch my tape.
Yeah.
I think that the guy's pretty physical. I think he's mostly a physical brawler. But then again, if he brawls with me, I'm gonna lay him out. I'm gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
I think that he comes in with a few straight punches and likes to flurry, but he doesn't have the output to go 15 minutes at that pace. So I'm going to force him to go. I'm going to be right in his face, and I think I'm going to overwhelm him, man, and he's going to break.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think so too. So we'll wait and see for sure. But my next question here, like I'm trying to think out of the box here. You got a fight over there. Is your management team also thinking ahead like I'm thinking? Like if you get this win,
I know what you mean.
there's a little 5-week session of Fight Island over there, and you're already going to be over there. My question's how long do you plan on staying there after you fight?
That's a good observation. I'm not going to stay long. I'm coming back right after, but I'm ready to leave back right away. So I've signed only a 1-fight deal with the UAE for that reason. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to fight. Man, who knows? Maybe they needed a late replacement in the 26th. We'll see what's up, But I'll be ready to fly right back out, man. I'm going to like I said, I'm going to finish that dude. I'm going to bring it, I probably won't even need that much of a break, and I'll stay on weight.
Yeah, I hope you do. And then for some reason you stick around a couple days after and they give you a call. That'd be awesome because you deserve it.
Thank you.
So, what do you like to do after fights? You spend a training camp, you whatever. What do you like to do? You go for a couple of drinks. Do you hang out with some buddies? Do you just get away, vacation? What do you like?
Well, I don't really drink that much, but definitely I like to get drunk one night.
Yeah.
Get hammered one night at least. And then man, I like to chill. Like, for example, I love paintball, man.
Okay.
But it's gonna get cold when I'm back, so the paintballs are gonna hurt,
Oh yeah.
So, I like paintball. Probably go out to a few restaurants, man. Montreal's a foodie city, there's a bunch of different restaurants.
Yeah.
So I like to eat what I can eat when I'm not in camp, and video games, man. Fuck, I play a lot of video games.
What kind of games you play?
First-person shooters. I only play one game, Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay.
It's probably the only game I've played since 7 years. I've been playing that game.
Awesome. Yeah, it's embarrassing to say I'm a huge Habs fan. I still have not been to Montreal, so I said never even been to Quebec. So I got to get there one of these years when the fans can come back. Yeah. So what about your personal life? You have a family. What do you do for hobbies?
Yeah. So I have a gym. So I own a gym. I own 360 Punch. We just opened that up 2 years ago in Montreal. It's going very, very well.
Well, congrats.
It's thank you. It's kind of it's a boxing gym where we mix conditioning. So all the conditioning you see fighters do, we include it in the gym with the sleds, the airdynes, weights. And then we have an octagon of bags, 16 bags, where we do a transition from boxing to conditioning. So we offer pro level training for anybody like regular people that just want to take their their health in charge. You know, they want to take care of themselves. And so I'm very busy with the gym often. So on my time off, I'm trying to think on my time off because I'm
You don't
always
have a
busy
lot of
over
it.
there. Yeah, I don't have a lot of it. I like to walk my dog. I got a little pug. I'm married. I got married this year.
Congrats on that too.
Thank you very much. And honestly, life is good, man. Like I said, that's why I think I fell back in love with the fight game, because a lot of guys, unfortunately, they fight to build the future.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be it. You got to build your own stuff. You got to build your own foundation, and then after you can enjoy the fights. There's no point. Like I say, I tell all the guys, I say, if you're nervous and you got anxiety walking into a fight, then change fucking career, man. That's not meant. You're not built for it. You know, going in there, it should be because you willingly want to do it, and you feel like going in there and fighting somebody for 15 minutes, not because you got to pay some bills or you need to hit a bonus or you need to make the win bonus. You know, that's not how it is. So no, I'm good, man. I just bought a house too with my wife and another one. So I'm just going to fight, man. I'm going to do what I like to do.
Yeah,
that's what I do on my time off.
That's great perspective. Great perspective. So our last segment, between rounds, I'm going to ask you a question. There'll be a couple answers. You pick your best one. All right?
Yes, sir.
Favorite food to eat?
Thai.
Thai food. Favorite sport other than MMA?
Paintball.
Would you rather camp or stay in a hotel?
Hotel.
Favorite getaway spot in Quebec that maybe some people don't know about?
Classic Mont Tremblant. You know, it's just kind of a little village there with the mountain. It's pretty cool. It's fun to be at.
Favorite country in the world other than Canada?
Thailand, man.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Big time, man. The land of the smiles, man. It doesn't get better than there.
Favorite type of music?
Hip-hop, rap music, 90s, like 2000 Golden Age, 50 Cent, G-Unit.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Favorite movie of all time?
Man on Fire, bro. That's undeniably.
Oh, that's a great movie. Denzel?
The best movie. That's the best movie,
That's
bro.
really
That's
good.
just a great one.
Who is in your top 5 pound-for-pound fighters of all time?
Top 5 of all times. Well, you got to put George in there, you know. Definitely Khabib. Man. Guys like Demetrius Johnson, you know. Guys that, then if you want to go back in the days, Fedor. You can't forget Fedor. Probably put Fedor number 1. And then the last one, let's go new school. Let's put Stylebender for now.
Yeah.
I guess. Right?
Yeah. I like it. Who do you think wins in an upcoming fight, Khabib or Gaethje?
Man, I'm going to say Khabib, but Gaethje's a handful for him, man. Yeah. Gaethje is a handful. The guy's an NCAA Division I wrestler, but yet never shoots a takedown, just fucking bangs. I don't know, man. It's
going to be a good one.
Hell yeah.
What about Stylebender and Costa?
I mean, Stylebender has so much more experience in kickboxing. He's got so much more fight IQ. Like, Costa is a total beast, man. Costa is like he's a rhino, you know, he'll take one to give one. Yeah. But I don't know, man. That's not the game in MMA, you know? If he pulls it off, man, that'll be crazy.
What about in your weight class? Pierre Yan or Aljamain Sterling?
Oh, Yan. Yeah.
He's legit.
I was scheduled to fight Yan before in ACB when he was 5-0 and I was 7-0.
You were?
Yeah. We were supposed to fight, but it never pulled through. And yeah.
And on September 25th, Xavier Alaoui or Juarez Dia, and how?
Your boy over here, I'm calling, like I said, it's either going to be a quick knockout in the first round or it's going to be a grueling TKO or submission in the second or third.
Love it. Any sponsors, shout-outs, or social media to finish off?
Yes, bro. Thank you. I want to shout out Albarachi Ventures and work.com, WRK.com. These guys have had my back. They're amazing. And honestly, they're just good at what they do. WRK.com is a new website that, man, it's so technological. It's I can't even explain it. I mean, you guys have to go check it out for yourself if you want to grow your company, if you want to reduce the cost of employees for your company. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to that fight coming up here, September 25th, right? Is there any way to watch that? Can we stream that?
Yeah. So it's going to be on YouTube, live stream for free. Fight starts at 6 p.m. UAE time, which would be 9 a.m. Eastern time over here.
Perfect.
I'm the third fight I'm 2 fights before the main event. So probably I would say around 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube live stream UAE Warriors for free, or you can watch it on UFC Fight Pass.
Awesome. We hope you have a safe flight out there, good weight cut. Get that W first, second round, like you said, September 25th.
Yes,
thanks so much for coming on. Xavier.
Well, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, Xavier, the Breadman, Alaoui. This is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, boss.
Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, yeah.